Joined now by 8-time Pro Bowl cornerback for the Cards, the Vikings, the Steelers. I'm sick of talking about the Eagles, but maybe we will co-host of the First and podcast, Patrick Peterson, who's kind of retired, but I'm always going to try to find you a job. So let's go.
You're always looking out for me, Kay. How you been?
I'm really good. This NFL season is crazy. These one possession games, I know you're dialed in, you're watching, you're at a whole different vantage point for how you're seeing things now. Of course, having to break stuff down on your podcast. I mean, we saw the second highest scoring tie in NFL history last night. How do you feel about the overtime format, and how would you settle a tie?
Oh, man, they need to change it, because that was a really, really good football game last night. And fans don't want to see football games end in a tie. So what the NFL should do is, if the game is still a tie at the end of the regulation of overtime, put the ball at the 20-yard line and play college rules. First team, if they score, you automatically have to go for the 2 point. The opposing team will get an opportunity. If they score successfully, then they get an opportunity to go for the 2 points. Not get the opportunity. You're gonna have to go for the 2 points. And if you get it, and the first team didn't get it, you win.
It seems pretty clear. I feel like you need to just like bark up that tree and get it done. I like that. I like that a lot. You know what I would do? How I would settle a tie? I've said this for like 10 years, since like the first year of Good Morning Football with Nate. I think that when it gets to overtime, you should do tug of war. I think all 53, we can argue about whether or not it's fair to have coordinators and coaches. Let's take owners off the table. In this instance, would the Cowboys, with their head coach, win a game of tug of war against the Cowboys? Packers v. Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, probably not.
They're younger.
I mean, tug of war. That's like we're almost playing the Pro Bowl now. Pro Bowl games.
I think that it's just like physical brute strength. You're tired. You've played 4 quarters. Now get everybody, including maybe owners. Maybe Jerry needs to get out there and do a little bit of that to see who wins. I personally, that's what I'll always root for. But I like your rules a lot. Let us know what you think at Up and Adam Show. Patrick Peterson with a savant take on how we should fix things and adjust them for the better of the game. Honestly, okay. So the story this morning, obviously, Cowboys win. Beautiful. They're not dead yet. They had a little something, but this defense with the Packers, I don't know how closely you've watched it all season, but they crush at home and then they leave home and they really look like a different defense. What is going on?
I mean, that's the strange thing about, the last 2 weeks with the Green Bay Packers, that, they started out real hot, even Micah Parsons didn't even play that much in those first 2 games. And, there was really a really successful, aggressive defense in the last 2 weeks. They just haven't been there. I mean, they was that up until late into the Cleveland, in that Cleveland game. But last night, it was just way too many big plays that was given up. But this is also a really good offense that they went up against. I know CeeDee Lamb wasn't there, but they had an opportunity to get Williams in the running game going and kept that defense on their heels. And anytime you're able to run the football effectively, that makes the passing game a little bit more open for you. And we all know what Dak Prescott can do when he is throwing the ball, and when he does have time to throw the ball. And now he have one of the best 50-50 ball catchers down the field in George Pickens, who had a huge game as well. So, if Dallas is going to score points, they're going to put points up, in my opinion, against the best of them. They didn't do it against the Chicago Bears last week, but their makeup, they can put up, 30 to 40 points a game. It's just going to come down to the defense, if their defense can stop anyone.
You love Pickens. I Googled this morning, Patrick Peterson, George Pickens, and you were a Steeler. You were there with him. How does that feel to watch him thrive like this?
Man, it was good to see GP, do his thing last night at a high level, because, I had an opportunity to practice against him every day, watch it from the sideline up close in person, and now it just seemed like he's in a great headspace, and that's good for him. You know what I mean? And that's when you're able to play your best football, when you're thinking clearly, and it just seems like he's in a happy place right now, and I'm happy to see him balling right now as well.
Do you think, as watching, and obviously it was the early game in Dublin, and Aaron Rodgers clearly looking at DK Metcalf often, some crazy touchdowns, crazy connection. Do you think the Steelers will end up missing George?
No, because they got a guy in DK Metcalf that can do, just as more as George. DK Metcalf, you can move him around in the offensive scheme a little bit more to where, when George was there, he was primarily just the X receiver. You know what I mean? So you can game plan a little bit more with DK Metcalf versus George Pickens. DK Metcalf is a little bit bigger, far as structurally wise, but they both can make guys miss. That's the thing about George. He's a slender receiver, but he has a lot of yards after the catch. He's not running through anybody, but
Yeah.
he does have the ability to break tackles. But I think they end up getting a great trade off in receivers. So that's why I truly believe they will not miss George just because of they got a DK Metcalf on their team.
I think I'm thinking of a world in the playoffs, and they are like crushing it in the AFC North. Why not both? Like if they had
It was no
both,
way they was gonna have both of
there's
those
no
two.
way.
Yeah, no way.
Well, I'm just looking like outside of DK, Calvin Austin's hurt now. Then you've got, I
Yep.
mean, Kenneth Gainwell's like their second best offensive player. I wonder if I'm just setting the table. I wonder if down the stretch they're going to miss George, who absolutely thrived, and they crushed these Packers. I mean, I'm still on these Packers defense. I did not think that they'd give up 40 points. I'm plugged in with
Yeah.
this fan base. I mean, the secondary was a question going into this season. What are your thoughts? I mean, they got rid of Jair. Jair not exactly thriving in Baltimore, so you can't say they shouldn't have done that because he's got to get on the field and do his thing. Do they need help with the secondary? And does that help Patrick Peterson?
There you go, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
You said Green Bay, right?
Yeah, but Green Bay,
Yeah.
this is a Super Bowl contender, right?
Yeah, Green
Is this
Bay.
a Super Bowl? Is this a Super Bowl secondary? That's my question.
Is this a Super Bowl secondary? Honestly, they have Super Bowl talent in their secondary, and they shown flashes in the first 2 weeks of the season. Now it just they're not getting as much pressure as they was in the beginning of the season, and maybe they just caught teams at the wrong time. They shown that they can be a championship caliber secondary. So maybe we have to wait and see what they continue to put forth and put on tape moving forward, and showing if they are or not a championship caliber defense. But from what I've seen early on in the season, they shown me championship caliber secondary play. Just not last night. Last night was unacceptable.
At home, they do. Away,
Yeah.
they don't. And it looks like it's like night and day or something. Well,
Yeah,
is there something to that? Like,
they got to have as a secondary, they got to build a mindset of we walking into your trap, taking over your trap. That's what, especially as a defensive player, that's always been our mindset as anyway. Wherever we're going, because we love playing on the road more than playing at home anyway, because we feel like the advantage is on our side now, because now the crowd is quiet. We can communicate with one another. Now we should be all dialed in and to put forth our best effort into winning this game. So I don't know what it is about the Green Bay Packers leaving home, but they gotta change their mindset for sure.
it's a mindset thing, like a toughness thing.
Yeah.
Patrick, I don't know. Here come the Chiefs, everyone's Chiefs. Here they come. And it's Spags. He's unbelievable. Can anybody make Lamar look like what he looked like yesterday other than Spags? I don't think so. Why is that? What is it that seems to put him off of his game in the eyes of Spags and in the eyes of Patrick Peterson? 147 passing yards against the Chiefs.
I know, man. You know who took a page out of Spags' book was Kevin Shepard, because they played him the week before. And they sacked him 7 times. Forced him into a couple of turnovers. But Spags he's used to him. You know what I mean? They played each other. I want to say almost 8 times. You know what I mean? And every time, they play against one another, Lamar has a long day, because they understand if you are responsible in your rush lanes and don't allow him to get outside of the pocket, and the interior guys continue to, be responsible in their rush lanes, that it makes it harder for him to be successful, because once Lamar Jackson, once he's moving and his eyes are still downfield, that's when he's elusive, because now he has, options, to run or pass the ball. Now, when he's backing up in the pocket and trying to maneuver in the pocket, and his eyes are down, and then next thing you know, you have a spy on him, that's when you pretty much have him in the bottle. And that's what Spaz does each and every time that he have an opportunity to put forth a game plan against a Lamar Jackson. And like I said, Kevin Shepard did the same thing against him in that Monday night game last week. So Spaz has always had the blueprint. Kevin Shepard seems to have the blueprint. Now let's see if the rest of the NFL has caught on to that blueprint to try to slow Action Jackson down.